recap on bouncing stuff out here with Ableton Live. I'm pretty sure we talked about this before. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this over here, and you can see I've already put some markers in. This is like exactly the same reason why I put markers in Pro Tools, so I easily just know where my beginning is, where my end is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you how I would bounce this out. Now, a couple things. If I want to make stems for this, let's go ahead and call this one beats. And this one's called my percussion. You notice I didn't group anything today. This is really unlike me to not group anything. But I think that I'm not, we've talked about that enough times, and I'm just going to go keep this like quick. And bass. Oh, bouncing is so important. So important. I am going to color code stuff though. I can't do this without color coding. Make my drums orange and assign the tracks to clips. Cool. Make my bass red. Assign the color to clips. Horns can be horns. I usually like my horns to be kind of a golden color because brass. And then my celeste is going to be this other kind of brownish color here. Celestes are gold as well, I think, or brown. They're like piano things. And this echo thing is an effect. I usually like my effects to be a yellow color. So we got this here. We're good here. What we're going to do is... I actually am going to group these drums here. Just so we have a group here. We're going to call this one drum group. And... now, as you can see, our level is it like -9, something like that. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna put a. If you want to do like a quick and dirty, like a demo just to play out and stuff like that, what you can do is with your track, you can just throw this level thing on here, this limiter, which is under my EQ. Do I have it in here? No, I don't have it on here. I should. Let me put it in there, actually. Where is it? It's under Audio Effects, Dynamics, Limiter. Why are you not in there with my EQs and compressors? There we go. And I'm just going to throw this on here. What you do is you're going to put your ceiling, leave it at -0.30. And I'm just going to turn this up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this down, because when I turn this up, it's going to be kind of too loud for this broadcast. So... turn this gain up, and I want this to be hitting like right up here, because we're like hitting it like -9. I really need to put this up to about -9 or so. If I were to turn this up, it would quickly get too loud for you with headphones on, so I'm not going to turn that up. I'm just going to leave it down here, and you're just going to pretend like I turned it up. And what I'll do is I'll just leave it down here for now, but you'll see once I bounce it out that it's pretty limited. And when you're doing limiter stuff like this, you want it to be careful, because you want it to be hitting this gain reduction right down here. Let me just go down here and show you what you're looking for. I want it to be hitting this a little bit, but not too much. And the better your mix is, the less you're going to actually hit that on your drums and stuff like that and make it sound nice and full. You really need to learn how to get your mix sounding nice and big without just slamming a limiter. You can do that by actually compressing things on their groups, like getting your drums nice and firm together, putting some stuff on the drums, just getting everything kind of like sounding good on its own in the stems, and that'll help your overall mix sound really good. Also, the limiter that you use matters. Like, this limiter comes with Ableton Live. It's a decent limiter. I actually use it for a lot of special effects and stuff like that when I'm really doing some crazy stuff with like pianos and reverbs and things like that. My favorite limiter right now is, where is it? It's FabFilter Pro L2. I'm a huge fan of FabFilter Pro L2 right now. I love it, because you can get it really loud without like killing everything. I really like it. So we can make it super loud without it sounding super compressed. But let's go over here to basic. Let's go to modern loud. It will keep the transients really well. And I would set this output here. Always set your output below 0. You don't want your output to be 0. You want it to be like minus point something. So I'm going to set it down to minus 0.1, like that. And that means it's not going to go above minus 0.1. Cool. Once I've got that set up, I'm going to go ahead and bounce it out. So I'm going to bounce out the main mix, and I'm also going to show you how to bounce out stems. It's actually super, super easy. I'm going to hit Command Shift R for render, is what they call it. I don't know why they have it for Command Shift R, but if we look over here under File, here it is set for export audio video. You can also export a MIDI clip if you have a MIDI clip that you've clicked on. It's Command Shift R. They call it the rendered track, like what track you're going to render. So they're using several different terminologies. The R part I think is for render. I don't know why they don't just call it bounce Command Shift B, because I don't think there is a Command Shift B in Ableton Live. Anyway, so what track do you want to render out? That's the master here. Do we want to render it as a loop? No, rendering it as a loop is if it's a loop with delays and stuff on it. For like your whole track to bouncing out, do not turn this on. Do not convert it to mono. Do not normalize it. Please, for the love of God, don't normalize. And then create analysis file. Unless you're bringing it back into live for some reason to like sample from and stuff like that, don't worry about this. Even so, you probably just want to leave this one off anyway because it'll automatically analyze it when you bring it into Ableton Live later. Sample rate 44.1. The PCM means your WAV or your AIF file. Always do WAV, unless you have a reason to do one of these others. FLAC is also pretty good, but WAV is the most compatible for stuff, so just use WAV, it's fine. Bit depth 24, always 24. Right now I'm not using 32. Ableton Live automatically does do its crops and renders and stuff in its internal stuff in 32. So whatever, but I just leave this at 24. Dither options, don't worry about dither options. If you want to, you can use like Power 2 is pretty good, but I wouldn't use the dither options. MP3, if you want to make it into an MP3, leave that on. If you are doing video stuff with Ableton Live, and actually there are some people making some really cool video plugins for Ableton Live, which is interesting. But you can just leave this off for now. I don't have any video stuff in here anyway. So I'm going to hit export, and it's going to ask me where do I want to save it. The answer is I actually don't know because I haven't put the, just save it on the desktop. Here, actually, before I do all this, hold on, let's cancel. I should have saved this. Let's call this one. Let's put it in our Ableton teaching projects, and we'll call it Hippity Hoppity. And all right, there we go. Boom, Command Shift R, hit export. Make sure you've selected the area that you want to export because it goes by what you've selected up here. And let's find the folder called Hippity Hoppity. Where are you? Hippity Hoppity, there you are. And I'll just call this one a Hippity Hoppity demo. And I usually like to label it if I mastered it, like a little demo master, or not, if it's like the pre-master or the master. So this one here is like a master, and I'm gonna hit render, and it's gonna go. Now it's going a little bit on the slow side because I had this, probably because of this fab filter actually. Fab filter does take time to do stuff. It sounds really good, but it does take a little bit of time to do it. If I didn't have, I'm not sure if that's really what's doing it. I'm not sure if that's that or the BBC. I don't know. This is, for me, it's a little bit on the slow side for when I render stuff for class, but that's because I usually don't use FabFilter to render stuff for class. What we're going to do after this is I'm going to show you how to balance out the stems. And the stems is like pretty much exactly the same way. The only difference is with the stems, instead of going to master and bouncing out the master, you're going to bounce out each individual track. And what that's going to do is it's going to leave me with every single track with the whole audio file from the beginning to the end is there. And this is what you're going to do if you're going to give your files to somebody to do a remix or something like that. It kind of depends on how you want to do it. I used to do it where I would just kind of give people loops. Now I give people stems. I don't necessarily always stem out all my drums. Like I don't give them every single track as a stem because it's just kind of too much. So in this case, I would probably put these stems together. Maybe, I don't know. There's not many tracks here. It's only 8. It's only 7 tracks. So I might just give them everything. With this process, will this process take every single clip into Wave? Every single clip? Yeah. So, well, let me show you what it's. I'll go ahead and do it for you here in a second. It's just wow, this is very slow. Why are you being so slow? Oh, it also might be slow because the computer's doing a million other things. It's also recording. It's also broadcasting. It's also recording. It's also it's like I've got this computer really doing a lot of stuff right now. So that's maybe why it was taking so long. Okay, I'm gonna turn this one off. You get out of here. I'm gonna turn you on. And let's do this again, but let's do the individual stems. So I'm gonna hit Command-Shift-R and go in here to my rendered track and change this to all individual tracks. There we go, boom. Now, include return and master effects. Yes, you notice how that one was grayed out before? We definitely want to do this so you have your return tracks and your master effects. This is going to create a couple of extra tracks in there, but it's actually useful to have. And now, I'm not going to record the MP3s because for stems, you don't want MP3s. You want the MP3 to give to people like through email and stuff like that. But I don't need my MP3, so I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to hit export. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into here and I'm going to give a new folder. I'm going to call this one hippity hoppity stems, like that, and put them in here. Now with this one here, we don't necessarily need to have anything on the beginning here. I can put a little underscore here like this. I don't have the numbers on the beginning here, which we might want to add these in. Actually, before we do the stems, might be better to have the numbers on here. The numbers will help them come into the right order. Let's just do this real quick. I'm going to put an underscore here just so it knows that it can save things properly, because if you have a space or blankness, the Mac OS sees that blank as a system file, so it won't let you actually do anything with it. And so it doesn't even allow me to save it, right? So I'm going to put an underscore here. And now if I hit go, is it going to take forever? Not forever, ever. Okay, I'll let it go through its thing. Again, I'm not really sure why it's taking so long, but let's just sit here and do this for, it'll take like 1 minute to do this. In the meantime, I'll talk to you. How you doing? Yeah, cool. I've noticed on Twitch, there's a lot of people in inflatable hot tubs, and I'm kind of wondering if I taught from an inflatable hot tub, do you think I'd get more views and more clicks on my Twitch stream if I taught Ableton Live from an inflatable hot tub? I'm not really sure that people want to see me in an inflatable hot tub, but the fun factor might be really high. So let me know in the comments if you think that would be a thing to do. And actually, it's not something that I would ever do. So don't worry, but I'm just like talking because whatever. So oh, this is going to take longer than I thought. Oh, that's annoying. Hot tub with banana and charming, $20-$30 to write my name. Yeah, right? Charging $20-$30 to write my name. It's I actually haven't clicked on any of those. I just that would be hilarious if we can get some pandas in there, although they'd probably just like push me away and then it'd just be like panda time in the hot tub. Maybe I can get some friends to wear some panda onesies and be in a hot tub behind me. What do you think about that? Maybe I could teach Ableton Live and have people in a hot tub behind me in panda, what's the word? Furry costumes. So I could get my furry friends to be in panda costumes in the background. So, Oh, while I'm recording this. Yeah, I have furry friends. Whatever, I said it. Um, yeah, it's hilarious, right? It's so funny. I mean, it's good for them for thinking about how to make money, though, right? I mean, I can't hate on the people doing it too much because they're making money and people want to give them their money. So whatever. It's it's a racket. So this is taking a while to do this. I think let me see if I hit. Um, well, let's just keep doing this. So okay, so what did we talk about here? We talked about all the automation stuff. We talked about setting up your drums, the arpeggiated stuff. Remember, there's arpeggios in the drum groups, in the what do they call it? I can't even click on it. The drum racks. And this stuff it's really, really useful. Now what we're doing is we're bouncing stuff out. It's taking longer than I expected it to because it's only 2 minutes and 45 seconds. But like I said, my computer's doing a whole bunch of stuff right now. What's your question? You have tools to make music, but somehow I'm failing each time to really make music. Any 2-minute tip? So Satori, this is a great question. What do you mean by you're failing to make music? I don't really let's expound on this. Let's kind of go deeper into this. Where do you think you're failing? What do you mean by failing? Like, let's tell me about that. What is the failure? It's like I open the DAW and you make a melody and that's it. Okay, so yeah, this is a very common thing for people. You are not alone if you feel frustrated about this. Don't feel frustrated in that you're alone. Let's just think about ways we can work through this. So what you've seen me do, if you've been watching, you're scared. I get it. I totally understand. Really, the best thing you can do is there's two things really. I think one thing that will really help is try not to be precious about it. What I mean by that is try not to sit down and try to make the best thing you've ever made in your life every time you sit down. Don't think about it like that. Just think like, I'm just going to make something and I'm just going to see what happens. And if you try to sit down and hit a home run, yeah, exactly. If you try to sit down and hit a home run every single time, you're gonna miss every single ball that gets pitched across the plate because you're putting too much pressure on yourself. I've been through this. You've been through it. Like other people have been through this. I need some more RAM. I wish I had more RAM. I really do wish I had more RAM. I can't. 16 gigs is not enough. So the real problem is, and this is actually a super important thing to talk about. And it's very off topic for bouncing stuff out, but it's really, really important for people who are creating stuff because at some point in their lives, every single person goes through this. I have not met one person who hasn't run into this problem where they kind of let things overtake them and they get too deep into the, I'm not making anything right now. And the people who able to rise above that, or not rise above it necessarily, but are able to kind of dodge that, are the people who are like, you know what, I'm just going to sit down and make some beats and see what happens and whatever. And the object really is that you don't have to make your magnum opus every single time. And what's going to happen is you're going to start making more music. If you don't worry about it, you're just like, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to make a beat. Boom, boom, boom. Like this beat that I made today. This beat I made today is not like the most incredible beat ever, but is it a cool little beat? Yeah, it's a cool little beat. Did it take me very long? No, I've been working on this beat for the past, hour. Hour and a half, whatever it is. It's not taking very long. The reason why, and this is an interesting thing that happens, when I sit down to teach, I oftentimes find myself having more ideas than when I'm not teaching. And I think the reason is because when I'm doing this, I'm focused on showing y'all new things and just kind of doing it. And I'm not really focused on, does this sound cool or not? Because there's a lot of things I've made for y'all that sounds like complete garbage. And then sometimes there's things that sound pretty fun. And I can't worry about that when I'm teaching, because my point of teaching is not to make fire every time. The point of teaching is to share knowledge with you. So I've kind of been thinking about, maybe it would be an interesting thing to sit in Twitch all the time while I'm making my music and work from Twitch all the time and be talking to people as I'm making stuff because it might take a little bit of pressure off of me. The problem with that is that I work so slowly when I'm working on music. It's so incredibly slow when I'm working on music that I would be talking to like one person every time, maybe 0 people. And that would hurt my ego too much. And I would just be like, wah, wah. So I would probably depress myself even more. So that's one thing. One thing is don't try not to be so precious about everything all the time. Just sit down and be like, I'm going to make a beat. Maybe set yourself a small little goal that's not centered around making a song, but maybe a goal that's centered more around just doing something interesting for that day. I'll tell you what, when I'm not feeling super inspired to make music, one of the things I've been doing recently is just going through and looking at presets and looking at sounds and trying out effects and diving into this library of sounds. If you've paid attention to my plugins, look at this. This is insane. I have so many plugins. It's incredible. I don't even know what the Acon digital stuff is. Audio Damage, haven't really used that ever. This stuff here, I don't use that. Because I'm a teacher, people give me plugins and I install them and I use them and I'm like, okay, that one's not for me, whatever. The Eventide stuff, I love the Eventide stuff. I forgot about it. I keep forgetting about it. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, I've got that thing. Like today we played with UltraTap. I bought UltraTap at some point because it looked really cool. And then I like never used it, right? This is ridiculous. So what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to go back in and finding stuff that I haven't used in a long time and use it. Physion, super, super cool, right? FabFilter is amazing. I have a huge collection of plugins, right? And they're all paid for. There's nothing cracked in here at all. There's no cracked plugins in here. I pay for everything, or I get it for free legally as a teacher. I really don't like cracking plugins. Have I used them in the past? Yes, I have. I don't like to say that, but once I realized what was going on with the music industry and the plugin manufacturers and how they're really small companies, I was like, that's ridiculous. I need to pay these people. And the other good thing that's happened is in the past few years, the plugins prices have come down to more reasonable prices. So now plugins aren't, when I bought my Waves plugins at first, I had the Waves Gold bundle. The Waves Gold bundle, I paid $1,500 for the Waves Gold bundle. That's way too much for the Waves Gold bundle. But at the time, that was like the top bundle. This is like 2002 or 2003. So I pay for everything now, or I get it, properly. I don't always use everything because it's just so many. If we just go through, I subscribe to Slate Digital. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. Rent to pay is a great option with Splice. Yeah, actually, I've gotten a few things like that. I've got this new one that I've been messing around with called RC20. Not new so much anymore, but this RC20 Retro Color. I got that one a few months ago, and I pay $5 a month for that. And if I don't like it, I can just stop using it. But I love it, actually. I use it all the time on stuff. If I can't think of what to do next, I'll throw RC20 on there. And that'll give me some, and I'll just flip through some presets. The output port plugins have been doing that for me as well recently. So that brings us to another thing. So first thing is don't be so precious. Second thing is never stop moving forward. Even if you don't have an idea, just be like, okay, I'll put a hi-hat in here. Okay, I'm just going to go and look at a plugin and mess around with it. Because once you stop moving forward, you stop, because there is an energy that happens. There's like an energy that helps us to move forward. And once you stop pushing that forward, you absolutely stop moving forward. And it's really annoying. So you have to keep the momentum going, because once you stop, it's over for the day. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if you've done a lot of stuff for the day. Sometimes it's like know when to say when. Never let your friends, overcreate. Never let your friends overcreate and then drive. Know when to say when. Know when it is a good time to stop. But if you're having problems and you're really you're worried about it and it's like not really fun anymore, try not to be so precious. Try to maybe make something in a genre that you are not really a big fan of. I'm not a fan of hip hop, but I have fun when I make hip hop beats. It's fun. I have a good time. Am I ever going to do anything with these? Probably not. I should I should put them up on whatever that website is where people sell their beats. I should just start putting all the ones that I make in class just up there and just see what happens. Probably nothing, because I'm not gonna pay any attention to it. But it's interesting to find stuff. Maybe you could spend some time going through and trying to find things to sample, and maybe that would inspire you. Inspiration comes from all sorts of different places. I like to start with drums, but sometimes I'll start with a keyboard line, or I'll sit down with my keyboard. You can see I've got this keyboard behind me that I've had for years. This thing, I don't know if you can tell, the keys on this thing are yellow, and the yellow keys it's kind of gross, but I mean the yellow keys are, it's just from age, but I don't worry. I mean, I've had this thing for like over 10 years. I've had it probably for like 12 or, man, how long have I had it? I've probably had this keyboard for 15 or 16 years. It doesn't feel good at all, but I'm not a fan of hip hop. I'm not a fan of hip hop. I'm sorry. I like old school hip hop. I like this kind of stuff that we were making today. I actually like this stuff a lot. It's really fun for me. I like 90s hip hop. I like classic stuff. I like Missy Elliott. I like who's her producer is Timbaland, stuff like that. But modern hip hop, I don't like trap, stuff like that, I guess I should say. But I'm not trying to be a hip hop producer. I'm not interested in being a hip hop producer, really. But it's fun, it's fun to do this, and I have fun, and I know you guys like it, and so whatever, let's do it. I think that, hopefully this is some of the stuff Satori is hitting home for you. Hopefully it's making so number one, no pressure. Yeah. Number two, keep moving forward, keep the momentum going. Number three, make a genre I'm not a big fan of, have fun. And then sampling. Yeah. Number three, take that with a grain of salt, because you do want to have fun with it. One thing that I do find is interesting talking about number three, what you just wrote there, is that I will oftentimes pay attention to artists that I don't particularly like so I can learn something new, especially for songwriting. Like, I don't love Katy Perry. I'm not a fan of Katy Perry. Yeah, I said it. What's up? Come at me. I'm not a huge fan of Katy Perry. That's not to say I don't respect her. I do respect her, and I respect her producers, because that many millions of albums sold, she's making people happy, which is great. I will totally study Katy Perry songs because I think there's something to be learned there. So I'm not saying that you should beat your head against a wall making genres that you don't love, because that can be very frustrating. But maybe just sit down and be like, whatever, let's make a hip hop song today. Whatever, let's make a drum and bass song. Let's see what happens. Let me listen to some drum and bass music and make a drum and bass song. So maybe that will kind of trigger something else that's really fun inside of your brain, and you'll be like, oh wow, cool. And maybe you'll grab a sound that you made from that and stick it into something else, like a techno or a house song, or I don't know what you make. I know you're in India, and Indian music there's so much cool Indian music, and there's so many cool sounds from India. Like, you could pull from the classical music from India and just be occupied for days and weeks and months and years. I'm going to stop the recording here, because we're pretty, actually, before I start the record, hold on. I'm going to come back to that. I want to stop the recording because I don't want to play something on YouTube, but I do want to play something for y'all that's super cool. But if I go in here, wait, where are we? Let's find this folder that I just made. Hold on, we're going to come back to that. Put a pin in Indian music. And let's go over to my Ableton Live projects. Here we go, and go into, what is it, hippity hoppity. So in here there's this folder called stem. So here we've got the MP3 and the wave. So if we click on this, y'all can't hear that, but it sounds good. If we go in here to the stems, Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish. Yeah. Billie Eilish is dope. Her brother is an insane, amazing producer, and her music is really, really cool and interesting. I'm really glad that she's so popular right now, because I really feel like the industry really needed that. And Taylor Swift is interesting because, so my girlfriend loves Taylor Swift. I'm like, you're 38 years old. Like, really? But she loves Taylor Swift, and I'm like, okay, fine. And I am not going to deny her. Like, I'm not going to sit back and like make fun of her. I'm not going to sit back. I mean, more than I just did. I'm not going to make fun of her. I love it that she's so happy listening to this music. She puts it on when she's in the shower. She sings along to it. I'm like, that's awesome. I love you. You're awesome. And I never paid attention to Taylor Swift before. I didn't. But during the pandemic, she made this album that's actually really amazing, and it gave me this new respect for her. And I went back and I started listening to other stuff. We watched her special on what is it, Netflix or whatever it is. She has a special on one of these, like, subscription TV stations, and I gained a new respect for her. I'm not gonna like listen to her all the time. I definitely like that album that she did. That's kind of that she did some songs with like you know which one I'm talking about. It's the one which like the picture's her standing in a forest or something like that. I don't remember. They won like a Grammy. There's some amazing stuff on there. Am I going to turn into a huge Taylor Swift fan? No. Do I have a lot more respect for her now? Yes, because I gave her a chance. And so the quality is fantastic. But yeah, with Billie Eilish, especially Taylor Swift also. But let's come back to this for a second. We'll talk about the Indian stuff here because I want to play y'all some stuff here in a second. But here's my stems. Now you'll notice that it doesn't have any numbers on the beginning. So maybe what you want to do for each track is go in here and on the beginning of each track, put a double pound sign. Whoops, wait, what happened? Stop it. A double pound sign, and the double pound sign with a space. And what the double pound sign does is it allows Ableton Live to number it. So if I go in here, let's see, I have it set up for F5 is my thing, and I can go through and I can put this in the beginning of each one, so it's going to number my tracks for me. And that way when I bounce it out later, it's not going to start off with it's going to be numbered, so it'll be in the right order, because this is not the right order. And you really want to put it in the right order, in my opinion. It's much better to put stuff in the right order. Okay, so, oops. You can see that one already had the pound sign at the beginning because I never deleted it. My problem is, and I should stop doing this, is that I actually delete those pound signs out. But if I reorder this, what's really cool is when you reorder this, it actually dynamically assigns the orders. So, honestly, I should stop. The reason why I do take the pound sign out is because when I'm working really fast, I hit the rename button and I just like type in the name. So I don't have to worry about like what the name is, but I should leave the pound sign in here. Let me put the pound sign in here as well. Boom, and that way I don't have to do it at the end, because I end up with like 50, 60, 70 tracks in my beats a lot of time. So you can put this in here. Here we go. We got all this stuff. Oh yeah, I know. Okay. So if I were to bounce these stems out now, it would actually have the numbers in here. So we'd have the numbers. So here's all my individual stems, and you could just drag these into your session and they'll just work in the session. This is what you would want to give to people. Now, one thing what you would notice is that the master, why did it not do the group? Oh, it did do the group. Here's the drum group right here. So here's our drum group, and then I thought it would do the master out. It didn't do my master out. That's okay. You always want to put the master in there. And also didn't do my effects. I thought I pushed the button for that. Interesting. Weird. It should have done it with this one right here. I don't know if that's a glitch or not, because it included the return and master effects. Should have been in there, so I'm not really sure why it did not include those return and master effects. I haven't done stems on this computer with a Live 11 yet, so maybe that's a glitch. I don't know. It should have my effects and my master in there, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. But you can always just bounce out your individual tracks. Just go over here, select the tracks you want to bounce out, and then it should work properly, hopefully. I don't know. We'll revisit that another time. Anyway, that's how you bounce out your stems and stuff. We had a big, long discussion in the middle there of other stuff that's super off topic. So if you are stumbling on this video on YouTube, sorry about that. Or not sorry. Maybe you'll learn something for that too. Cool.